There is a common view out there that all new Star Trek is bad, and of course, a lot of it is. But Strange New Worlds is often held up as the exception to the rule. It's the good one, they say. You really need to give it a chance. So, is Captain Pike the savior of Star Trek? Let me tell you whether Strange New Worlds is actually good.
Hit it.
Strange New Worlds is an updated take on the original 60s show. It's set a little earlier and has a different guy in the captain's chair. Now, this all harkens back to the original Star Trek pilot. It featured Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Christopher Pike, and a female first officer played by Majel Roddenberry, alongside the ever-present Mr. Spock. The pilot didn't make air, and a casting shakeup saw Hunter get cut in favor of William Shatner, giving us Captain Kirk and the classic lineup we all know and love. That should have been it for Pike, but the unused pilot footage was repurposed for a two-part episode called The Menagerie. This made Pike a legit canonical character, but he wasn't used again for decades. It wasn't until 2019 that Star Trek Discovery Season 2 brought Pike and First Officer Una Chin Riley back into the fold as guest characters, and a new show, Strange New Worlds, was then launched off the back of it. Now, Discovery had a lot of haters, and many viewers had already jumped ship by the time this happened. But one of the odd things about Strange New Worlds is that it has very little connection to Discovery. Past events and characters from that show are nearly never mentioned after the first episode. For all intents and purposes, it mostly exists in its own continuity, as its own thing. So if you hated Discovery, it's not a big deal, you might still like this one. Now, without a doubt, one of the biggest strengths of Strange New Worlds is its characters and the actors who play them. They're all really engaging. Pike anchors the show as a very solid captain. Unlike the stern formality of Picard or the machismo of Kirk, he's more of a warm, fatherly figure. Pike cooks meals for his crew in front of this big roaring fire in his quarters. He's very empathetic. He's interested in getting to know them all as people. He's the wise mentor, dishing out advice along with the comfort food.
But right now, your job isn't just about orders, it's about hope.
Pike also has a distinctive command style. He's decisive, but he always listens to his crew and considers his options. There's also a tragic edge to his character. He's seen a vision of the future, where a blast of radiation leaves him a broken man. Trapped in a prison of his own broken body, he's only able to communicate through a beeping console. Many of the better episodes explore the consequences of knowing your own fate, how it might impact your life and your decisions, and whether you are in control of your own destiny. The other characters are also good, even the ones that you initially think will be terrible.
Ah, yes, the prodigy.
Uhura is the young, wide-eyed cadet. She's a linguistics genius, and these kinds of characters are often very annoying. But Uhura is far less irksome than Wesley Crusher ever was. She gets to be the audience surrogate and ask questions we'd ask. And she's also a proxy for us, as she marvels at experiencing this cool starship for the first time.
You don't grow up with a bioengineered mass murderer as your ancestor and not develop a thick skin.
Laan Noonien Singh is descendant of Khan Noonien Singh. Yeah, that one. The genetically engineered warlord who was the villain in Star Trek 2.
Just the first time in a while someone hasn't recognized it.
Famous?
Infamous is more like it.
Again, this seems like it would be lame. And it occasionally is, especially when she complains about being judged for her name her whole life. I mean, if she was called Susie Hitler, she'd probably just change her name, right? Luckily, Laan is a strong character in her own right. She's a no-nonsense security chief who's wrestling with trauma from her past that has nothing to do with the Khan stuff. The result is this tough, formidable character who's also socially awkward and has trouble making personal connections. Then you got Una the First Officer and the Doctor, who are both hiding secrets that could jeopardize their careers. The pilot is a cocky smartass. Everyone has something distinctive going on. It's a genuine ensemble. None of them are interchangeable with each other, and character-wise, there's a lot to work with here. Of course, I haven't mentioned Spock yet. He's a legacy character, one of the most iconic figures in the history of pop culture. Ethan Peck is the third guy to play him, and he does a really good job with it. He channels Nimoy a bit while still managing to do his own thing. Now, one of New Trek's many departures from the old shows is that it's much more serialized. Discovery and Picard had season-long stories with constant cliffhangers and mystery boxes to keep you on the hook for the next episode. Strange New Worlds almost entirely abandons this. It goes back to the classic episodic approach. There are some ongoing threads, but each episode is a standalone adventure. This is both a strength and a weakness. There are some really good ones. Memento Mori is a classic space battle in the vein of Wrath of Khan. It spans the whole episode and is one of the best ones I've seen in years. Real edge of your seat action. Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach is like an old Twilight Zone episode. It feels like classic sci-fi and has the guts to follow through with a real kicker of an ending. The first season finale is also a real triumph. It's a what-if alternate history story, putting Pike in Kirk's shoes during the episode Balance of Terror. It's a risky move going anywhere near one of the most celebrated episodes of TOS, but Quality of Mercy manages to respect and pay tribute to the original while telling a neat story of its own. But since it is episodic, there's misses as well as hits. The old Trek shows had a cardinal rule. Stories had to center on a character from the main cast, rather than a guest star. And some of the worst episodes of Strange New Worlds are the ones that break this rule. Serene Squall brings in this space pirate who effortlessly outwits the Enterprise crew. Captain Angel dominates the story and drives all the action, while our heroes just react all the time. The character also feels like someone's idea of wish fulfillment, like a fanfic author insert character. Another bad one is Ad Astra per Aspera, where we get the climax to a long-running story thread involving First Officer Una's secret heritage. It culminates in a courtroom drama, and they bring in this civil rights lawyer character who we've never met before. Again, this lady we don't know and don't care about gets to outsmart everyone. She does all the big speeches and gets a standing ovation at the end. Meanwhile, all the series regulars just stand around with nothing to do. Contrast this to the episode Measure of a Man in Star Trek The Next Generation. It's another courtroom story, this time a battle over whether Data the android is a person or not. Here they contrive to have Picard and Riker forced to step in as advocates for both sides of the argument. This kept the story centered on the characters we care about, and it even heightens the drama, with Riker highly conflicted over his duties. Now, between the good episodes and the bad episodes, there's the goofy ones.
I do not like hijinks.
Strange New Worlds isn't afraid of comedy. So you'll have an episode where Spock and his fiancée get body swapped.
She's obsessed with the Mercury Stone. She thinks I have it.
Or one where the Doctor's storybook he's reading to his daughter comes to life and all the crew are playing these campy medieval characters. I mean, this is fine. The old shows had plenty of silly stuff as well. 2 or 3 in a 26 episode season can add a little spice. But in a 10 episode season, that can be overwhelming. Like, comedy is now the norm of the series. And there are times you kind of feel like Strange New Worlds is becoming a series of SNL sketches about Star Trek, rather than something comedic that's plausibly happening in the Star Trek world. It can also lead to a kind of tonal whiplash. Season 2 has this serious, dark, dramatic story called Under the Cloak of War. It deals with trauma, hatred, and vengeance. It's a really good episode.
Christopher Pike.
That's me.
Computer and program?
Thing is, right before it is a crossover with the Lower Decks cartoon, which is a zany animated comedy.
Sure I see, lay all the blame on me.
And right after it is a musical episode. And I can see how this would put some viewers off. This goofy tone also isn't always limited to the comedy episodes. The influence of Joss Whedon and Marvel is felt strongly in this show. When every member of the crew is throwing out sassy quips all the time, it can undercut the drama and undermine what makes each of these characters unique and special. So is Strange New Worlds actually good? A lot of the time, yes. It's a fun crew with some really good Trek stories. If you like the old school stuff, dip your toe in with some of the good ones, like Memento Mori or Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach. If you like what you see, keep on going. But Strange New Worlds is also a very unbalanced show. The light tone might not be for everyone, and it's constantly teetering on the edge of self-parody. The big question here is, which way will it go? At the time of making this video, Season 3 is about to air. Will they get the mix right? Or will they lean into the zaniness even further? I guess we'll see what happens. But what do you think? Is this the best of the new Trek shows? What's your idea of the perfect balance on a show like this? Let me know in the comments. That's all for this one. I'll be seeing you.